reasons to complain. There's so much wrong in the world, and I wish things were different, 'cause I've got a little girl. The more we talk about it, the more we're giving it life. The more we stress about it, we're bringing stress to our lives. If you want love, if you want peace, if you want a better world for all humanity, be the change, be the change that you want to see. Oh, be the change that you want to see. Be peaceful if you want to have peace. If you want love, then love you should be. Be the change that you want to see. Yeah. Be the change that you want to see. I wanted revolution. I wanted to take a stand, tear down injustice, and lift up the common man. Without love, it's pointless anyway. I decided to be loved so that I could make a change, yeah. If you want love, if you want love, if you want peace, if you want a better world for all humanity, be the change, be the change, be the change that you want to see. Oh, be the change that you want to see. Oh, be peaceful if you want to have peace. If you want love, then love you should be. Be the change that you want to see. Yeah. Be the change that you want to see. What the world needs now, that you want to see, is a little more love. What the world needs now is just a little more of your peace. All love we've gotta be. Yeah. Be the change that you wanna see. Spread your love all around. It's time to get off the sideline. I need you, and I know you need me. So many reasons to complain. There's so much wrong in the world, and I wish things were different, 'cause I've got a little girl. The more we talk about it, the more we're giving it life. The more we stress about it, we're bringing stress to our lives. If you want love, if you want peace, if you want a better world for all humanity, be the change, be the change that you want to see. Oh, be the change that you want to see. Be peaceful if you want to have peace. that you wanna see. I wanted revolution. I wanted to take a stand, tear down injustice and lift up the common man. Without love, it's pointless anyway. I decided to be loved so that I could make a change, yeah. If you want love, if you want love, if you want peace, if you want a better world for all humanity, be the change, be the change that you want to see. That you wanna see. Oh, be peaceful if you wanna have peace. If you want love, then love you should be. Be the change that you wanna see. Yeah, be the change that you wanna see. What the world needs now that you wanna see is a little more love. What the world needs now is just a little more of your peace. You want love, oh love, we've gotta be, yeah. Be the change that you wanna see. So many reasons to complain. There's so much wrong in the world, and I wish things were different, 'cause I've got a little girl. The more we talk about it, the more we're giving it life. The more we stress about it, we're bringing stress to our lives. If you want love, if you want peace, if you want a better world for all humanity, be the change, be the change that you want to see. Oh, be the change that you want to see. You wanna see. I wanted revolution. I wanted to take a stand, tear down injustice and lift up the common man. Without love, it's pointless anyway. I decided to be loved so that I could make a change, yeah. If you want love, if you want love, if you want peace, if you want a better world for all humanity, be the change, be the change, be the change that you want to see. Oh, be the change that you want to see. Oh, be peaceful if you want to have peace. If you want love, then love you should reasons to complain. There's so much wrong in the world, and I wish things were different, 'cause I've got a little girl. The more we talk about it, the more we're giving it life. The more we stress about it, we're bringing stress to our lives. If you want love, if you want peace, if you want a better world for all humanity, be the change, be the change that you want to see. Oh, be the change that you want to see. Be peaceful if you want to have peace. If you want love, then love you should be. Be the change that you want to see. Yeah. Be the change that you want to see. I wanted revolution. I wanted to take a stand, tear down injustice, and lift up the common man. Without love, it's pointless anyway. I decided to be loved so that I could make a change, yeah. If you want love, if you want love, if you want peace, if you want a better world for all humanity, be the change, be the change, be the change that you want to see. Oh, be the change that you want to see. Oh, be peaceful if you want to have peace. If you want love, then love you should be. Be the change that you want to see. Yeah. Be the change that you want to see. What the world needs now, that you want to see, is a little more love. What the world needs now, is just a little more of your peace. You want love, oh love, we've gotta be. Yeah, be the change that you wanna see. Spread your love all around. It's time to get off the sideline. I need you, and I know you need me. So many reasons to complain. There's so much wrong in the world, and I wish things were different, 'cause I've got a little girl. The more we talk about it, the more we're giving it life. The more we stress about it, we're bringing stress to our lives.
Hello, good morning. Happy Sunday, beautiful people. It is so very good to be here with each and every one of you on this Sunday as we gather together to celebrate the magnificence and significance of the presence and power of God operating in, through, and as us. I am going to ground us in a reading as we prepare to move into prayer, so you can close your eyes if you'd like, as you hear this, or just take this in. I'm reading from 365 Days of Science of Mind by Ernest Holmes. The affirmation, today I bestow the essence of love upon everything. We are made perfect when we enter into the communion of love with one another and with the invisible essence of life. Love is the fulfillment of the law. That is, we do not make the highest use of the law unless that use is motivated by love, by a sincere desire to express unity, harmony, and peace. As the soaring bird opens her wings to the sky's embrace, so we must open our hearts and minds to the influx of spirit and receive its love, that we may in turn express it to all whom we meet. We must embrace the essence of love that we may transmit it, giving loveliness to all events. Today, I bestow the limitless love flowing through me upon everything. And so from this place of awareness, we close our eyes, and I invite you to take a breath in and exhale. We take an intentional breath in and an intentional breath out. We take a conscious breath in and a conscious breath out, bringing the point of our focus and attention here now. The past is gone. The future is yet to come. We are here now. We are here now. We are here now. God is here now. God is here now. Love is here now. Love is here now. Love is here now. There is only one mind, only one power, only one presence, only one divine love, divine good, divine abundance, divine intelligence, divine wisdom, divine truth, divine law that is working in all, through all, and as all, that is working in us, through us and as us, that is working in you, through you, and as you, that is working in me, through me, and as me. Now there is one life. That life is God. That life is perfect, whole, and complete. That life is my life now. That life is your life now. That life is our life now. That life is all life now. That life is the life of the mountain. That is the life of the star. It is the life of the moons. It is the life of every planet. It is the life of every galaxy. It is the life of every solar system. It is the life of every blade of grass. It is the life of every insect. It is the life of every animal. It is the life of every plant, every tree, every fruit, every seed. It is the life of all, and it is now. All of God is right here, right now. All substance is right here, right now. Here and now, as we open our hearts and our minds to the recognition and remembrance that God is, and it is here now that God neither comes nor goes, we saturate our hearts and our minds with this invisible substance. We saturate our hearts and our minds with the awareness of infinite supply. We saturate our hearts and our minds with the awareness that good is present and available to, with, and for us right here and right now. We remember that we are one with God. We remember that we are one of God. We remember and acknowledge that we are individualized, particularized, undivided expressions of the whole, of God, of this great thing that we call Mother, Father, God. We are one with it. We are part of it. We are an expression of it. It can be no other way. This means we are never separate from our source. This means we are never separate from love. This means we are never separate from supply. This means we are never separate from abundance. This means we are never separate from answers. This means we are never separate from intelligence and wisdom. This means we are never separate from consciousness, from truth. We are never separate from what we know as the all in all, what we call God, what we call Mother, Father, God, what we call the law, working in, through, and as our lives. So from this place of awareness, I speak this word in faith, knowing that as we gather together in consciousness, we are changed. Knowing that as we gather together in consciousness, we are transformed. Knowing that as we gather together in consciousness, we are uplifted. Knowing that as we gather together today in consciousness, we experience a new awareness of our own goodness. We experience a new awareness of our own worthiness. We experience a new awareness of our healing. We experience a new awareness of our abundance. We experience a new awareness of the truth of who and what we are. We experience a new awareness of the infinite presence, the infinite power, the unlimited presence and power that we call God, that is operating in, through, and as us. So we allow this beautiful gathering to be beautiful and prospering. We allow this abundant gathering to be abundant and abundant and abundant. We are so grateful and thankful for this community. We are so grateful and thankful for the opportunity to gather, for the opportunity to grow, for the opportunity to prosper. From this place of awareness, I release this prayer. I release it back into the law, which is always in operation. And together we lift up our voices and we say, Amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
So it is.
And so it is. And so it must be. Well, hello again. Good morning. It is so very good to be here with each and every one of you on this Sunday. It is so wonderful to be here with our CSC family, with our community, as we gather together in consciousness to continue to learn, grow, expand, embody these principles, integrate these truths, and live from them and prosper because of them. Hey, it's a wonderful thing. If you are a first-time guest, hello, welcome. It's so wonderful to have you here. It's so wonderful to connect with you here in the space. You can feel free to say hello in the comments. Let us know where you're connecting in from, but that's not required. What we know is that as a first-time guest, you will receive something very powerful today. You will receive something that's inspiring today. You will receive something that will support you in living an empowered life and thriving throughout this week. Now, the information you see here on your screen is how you access your digital connection card. This is how you can stay in touch with us and we can stay in touch with you. And it's very easy to access the digital connection card. Just text that number on your screen, 347-472-1078. You'll receive a reply with a link. Click that link, enter your information. The most important piece of information is your email address. Once you've submitted that, you'll receive another text that says you're all set, and indeed at that point you are. You'll be added to our mailing list and receive all correspondence that we send out throughout the week. We also encourage you to like us on social media, subscribe here on YouTube or on Facebook, and also you can follow us on Instagram. But most importantly, again, we're happy that you're here, and we know that you'll receive something powerful as a result of being here today. So welcome. And so now is a wonderful opportunity for us to tap into our news and updates. It is Healing Sunday today, so following the news and updates, we'll move into the meditation experience and then our Healing Sunday prayer treatment for this month, and then we will move forward with our class. As I said, it is Healing Sunday. Every fourth Sunday is Healing Sunday here at CSC, where we set aside time to pray specifically for healing in our community, physical healing, healing in your mind, your body, your emotions, your relationships, your finances. There are so many in need of healing in so many different ways. And CSC will continue to know the truth and speak the truth intentionally and deliberately as we pray together on Healing Sundays. We're excited to share the design for our Pride shirts this year. If you would like to show your pride and show your allyship, if it is appropriate, by all means, you can go to our store, celebrationsc.org/shop, and get your Pride t-shirt. This month, the series that we're highlighting is the Stay Woke series, The Path of Self-Realization. This is a series that is inspired by autobiography of a yogi, the life of Paramahansa Yogananda. It's also a series that is really taking the idea of being woke and understanding what it means from a metaphysical standpoint. To stay woke as a metaphysician means that you're aware, awake, and alive to the truth of who and what you are. And as you are awake, aware, and alive to the truth of who and what you are, then you do not judge based on outer appearances, right? You do not walk through life moved and swayed by what you see as fact or as the final word, right? You recognize that everything that's outside of you can and will be changed, because that's the way the world of effects works. It's a powerful series. I encourage you to tap into it. And Yogananda is one of our favorite people, one of our favorite teachers.
Yes.
So it's a wonderful series. Every Wednesday morning, we gather together at 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Momentum Prayer Call. The Momentum Prayer Call is your opportunity to get definite with the infinite. It is your opportunity to tap into the vibration of affirmative prayer. We share a reading, we pray, and we go on with our day. And so it's a wonderful way to begin your day. It's a wonderful way for you to really be intentional because, of course, where your mind is, that's where you are directing the power and presence of God flowing in through and as you. And it does not judge where you put the focus of your attention, but as a mirror, it will bring back more of that thing which you have paid attention to. And so it's wonderful to bring the focus of our attention on the words of prayer, affirmative prayer, knowing that it is a definite movement of mind and a definite direction to accomplish a definite end. Also, if you're unable to make the prayer call at that time, every prayer is recorded, and so you can access the prayer at any time using the playback number, entering the access code, and the most recent prayer will play. If you have a prayer request, you can send that prayer request in to prayerchampions@celebrationsc.org. We will know the truth with you. We hold the entire community in our hearts and in our minds, seeing and knowing only the best for you. And we recognize that you may have a specific prayer request, or you may want to submit someone else's name for a prayer request. By all means, do that. We also encourage you, of course, to let us know as your prayer is being answered. Send us an email to prayerchampions@celebrationsc.org and let us know how prayer is working in, through, and as your life. We are in Masterclass mode this summer here at CSC. We are studying the book It's Up to You by Ernest Holmes. If you do not already have the book, please go get the book. It is available in print and digital formats. I saw in last week's class in the comments, there were some folks asking, what book are we studying? I recognize that people are still coming to this series at different times, and thank you for those that shared in the comments to get them up to speed. But this is the book that we're reading. It's Up to You by Ernest Holmes. Get your copy if you do not already have it. And that completes our news and updates for this Sunday, which means we have the wonderful opportunity to go within as we are led in the meditation experience with Pastor Yolanda.
Yes, it is time for meditation. The meditation experience, the opportunity to connect with the God of your understanding within you. I talk about it all the time. You can have all of the information, you can read all of these sacred texts, and we encourage that because we want you to be knowledgeable. However, it is through direct experience of the God within you that you know the things that we're saying and the things you're reading are true. This month, I don't know about you, but I've really been enjoying our affirmative thought. Light, joy, and peace abide in me. It's a powerful statement from A Course in Miracles, and it's also a truth statement that light, joy, and peace abide in you. Many times we feel that what abides in us is the darkest part of us, is the darkness. We look for the shadows, we think the shadows will come and destroy us. But what A Course in Miracles says, it's one of my favorite ideas, your sinlessness is guaranteed by God. Your sinlessness is guaranteed by God. There is nothing that you could do that would alter how you were created. And therefore, light, joy, and peace abide in you. It also asks us, would you rather accept the truth of what you think you've made or the truth of what God created? And what God created was an eternal being filled with light, joy, and peace. And so let us take this opportunity to feel the light, joy, and peace, and to fill ourselves up with light, joy, and peace. Go ahead and prepare yourself for this meditation experience. Bring yourself to a comfortable, upright position with the palms on the tops of the thighs, allowing the ears to align over the shoulders, shoulders over hips, so that you're not leaning too far forward or too far back. You're just creating this nice, long line of energy. And from this place of comfort, with the feet flat on the floor, look around the room and just take a moment to notice where you are, that you're with me and I am with you, and that where you are is safe. To take the breath, to be present with the power, to be open and available to the light, the joy, and the peace that is always within you. And from this position, allow your eyelids to gently close. I say gently because this whole process is guided by a gentle breath, is guided by gentle relaxation of the body with each breath, and guided by the continual bringing ourselves back in love and compassion to the light, the joy, and the peace. Let's take a few seconds here to notice the breath right where it is. And whether the breath appears to be deep or shallow, it matters not. As we are compassionate with our mind, we are compassionate with our breath. And as we are grateful for our mind, we are grateful for our breath. We just notice it. And now let's take conscious control of the breath. Let's send the focus of our attention and our breath deep into the low belly. And together, inhale for a count of 4. And hold for a count of 4. Open the mouth, relax the jaw, sigh it out, count of 4. And rest. Again, in through the low belly, expanding the low belly, dropping the breath nice and deep. Just the breath alone signals the body it can relax. Inhaling for a count of 4. Holding for a count of 4. Open the mouth, relax the jaw, and release the breath and anything else, unlike light and joy and peace. And rest. In through the low belly, up through the rib cage, expanding the sides of the body for a count of 4. And holding for a count of 4. And sighing it out, count of 4. And relaxing. Again, in through the low belly, up through the rib cage, we've expanded the sides and now the front and the back. Sending that breath all into the areas that need expansion and healing. Hold there. And sigh it out. And rest. And with the breath, we allow it to drop low into the belly and rise all the way up to the heart chakra now, center of the chest. Holding there. And releasing. And resting. As we practice this full breath, we send that signal deep and allow the breath to rise to the heart. And hold for 4. And exhale for 4. And rest. Let's put this all together and practice a few rounds, but let's slow the breath down. In and out through the nostrils for a count of 6. Each round of 6, each cycle of breath, we relax more and more. Each round of breath, each count of 6, we surrender the lower half of the body more and more. Each round of breath, each count of 6, we give the upper half of our body the opportunity to let go. And now from this open place, go ahead and scan your body. And notice if you're holding any tension anywhere. Can you relax the forehead, the throat, the shoulders, down the arms, out the fingertips? Release the feet and the shins and the calves, the glutes and the hamstrings and the thighs, and allow yourself to be supported by the seat beneath you. As we prepare for our silent time, I will monitor. You just take that inward journey. If the mind wanders, it's okay. Just be kind to your wandering mind. Bring it back to the truth that light and joy and peace abide in you now. Light, joy, and peace abide in me now. Light, joy, and eternal peace abide in us all now. With our eyelids still closed, we marinate in the knowing that light, joy, and peace abide in us. With our eyelids still closed, we affirm our sinlessness and our availability to the eternal goodness of God. And with our eyelids still closed, we enjoy a few more moments of this direct experience that we've given ourselves. let us make our joyful, peaceful, and light-filled return. With the palms down on the tops of the thighs, inhale and draw the shoulders up by the ears. Exhale, releasing the shoulder blades back and down. Inhale, nice full breath, full belly, full body breath. Exhale, releasing the shoulder blades back and down. One more time, inhale, drawing the shoulders up by the ears, feeling the energy flowing down the spine. Exhale, releasing the shoulder blades back and down. Stop the movement, bring the palms together, heart center. Lightly touching the thumbs into the sternum. Pausing to notice the beating of the heart and how the breath and the heart are still moving in sync. Allow the eyelids to gently open. And taking in a point directly in front of you on the floor. Nice soft gaze, no strain on the eyes or the experience. Inhale, raise the chin, raise the gaze. Exhale, release the breath. Maintain the peace. Namaste.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you, PY.
You are welcome.
Namaste. Well, it is the fourth Sunday, which means it is Healing Sunday. We here at CSC, we are a New Thought spiritual community, and in New Thought, we practice affirmative prayer. Affirmative prayer is also known as spiritual mind treatment. And we began this, I believe, in February. We began this of being intentional about the fourth Sundays and naming it Healing Sunday. We are already seeing and hearing reports of powerful healing. In our affirmative prayer mastermind last month, someone that was in the class, she shared with us that she had received a diagnosis and chose to rely on faith, chose to use the truth that she knows, chose to work it, and went back to the doctors, and all was clear. All was healed. At the same time, we've received prayer requests. There was someone recently who sent in a prayer request who needed a new job. And my conversation with her just the other day, she just started that new job this past Monday. What I know to be true, y'all, is that prayer works, and prayer is working at CSC. Let somebody know, tell somebody about it. If you need some prayers answered, come get into these healing waters. Come over here where we know and speak the truth. We do not beg, we do not barter, we do not ask. We know the truth. We declare the truth. We align with the truth and allow that to outpicture as miracles and answered prayers in our lives. This week, I read there was a quote that I came across from Ernest Holmes, which I think grounds us so wonderfully. We believe the universal spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God. And we are surrounded by this creative mind, which receives the direct impress of our thought and acts on it. We believe in the healing of the sick and control of conditions through the power of this mind. And so we are going to take this moment and take this time to anchor ourselves in prayer If you are in need of healing, physical healing, healing in your relationships, healing in your mind, healing in your finances, I invite you to move into the posture of receiving, right? And you can open your hands and move into the posture of receiving. For those that want to stand in the knowing as a collective, right? Now I invite you in this moment. I invite you in a moment. I'll instruct you. We're going to go through a process, and we will hold our hands out to send that energy of love, as we had in the reading this morning, bestowing love to everything and sending it out to everyone we meet. And so I invite you here and now to just close your eyes. Take a breath in and breathe out. For those that are standing in the knowing of healing in every way, shape, and form throughout our community, I invite you to rub your hands together just like this right here and now, creating energy, creating some heat, which is energy, and then holding your palms forward, sending out that energy, sending out that love, radiating out healing and well-being here and now. There is only one mind, only one power, only one presence that is working in all, through all, and as all, that is working in you, through you, and as you, that is working in me, through me, and as me. And right here and right now, I settle myself in consciousness.
Yes.
Right here and right now, I remember that I live, move, and have my being in healing supply. Yes. That I live, move, and have my being in the divine substance, which becomes any and everything that we need it to be. I remember that right where I am is a point of power. Right where I am is a point of healing. Right where I am is a point of transformation. Right where I am is a point of well-being. And where I am, God is. Where you are, God is. Right where you are is a point of healing. Right where you are is a point of transformation. Right where you are is a point of abundance. Right where you are is a point of supply. Right where you are is a point of power and a point of change.
Yes, yes.
I center myself in consciousness right here and right now, knowing that it is not by my might, it is not by my power, it is not by my intellect, but it is the power and presence of God, the good that is working in, through, and as me, that transforms and changes all situations. That is the miracle worker operating in, through, and as you, in, through, and as me, in, through, and as us. We are clear where the power is, and that the power dwells in, through, and as us. It is here now. It is with us now. It is all around us now. The space that we occupy is filled and overflowing with the healing power and presence of God. The place and space that we are occupying now is filled and overflowing with the transformative, peaceful power of God. We are living, moving, and having our being in a river of healing. We are living, moving, and having our being in the waters of healing. We are living, moving, and having our being in absolute transformative healing. For we are one with it, and we are one of it. We are one with it, and we are one of it. So from this place of awareness, I now speak this word in faith, recognizing who and what is doing the work, recognizing where I am and where you are. Here and now, I see you, beautiful soul, healed. Here and now, I see you, beautiful soul, thriving. This is the truth of who and what you are right here and right now. As the presence and power of God, as the mind of God is operating in, through, and as you, I speak to every cell in your body. Every cell in your body is transforming and conforming with the reality, capital R reality, of who and what you are. Every cell in your body is listening to God. Every cell in your body is listening to wholeness. Every cell in your body is remembering its perfection. Every cell in your body is releasing fear. Every cell in your body is releasing limitation. Every cell in your body is releasing lack. Every cell of your body is coming back into alignment with God, the good that is within you. Your cells know abundance. Your cells know prosperity, which is well-being. Your cells know well-being, and they are bringing it forth in line. Everything that is unlike well-being is now turning off. And everything that is like well-being is turning on, is turning up, is being amplified. Just as we can take a light and dim it and turn it up and make it brighter in the room, so that is what is happening in your body now. Everything is turning up. Everything is becoming brighter. Everything is aligning with the truth of your wellness and well-being. Wellness and well-being in your body. Wellness and well-being in your mind. Wellness and well-being in your fingers. Wellness and well-being in your toes. Wellness and well-being in your blood. Wellness and well-being in every organ of your body. Wellness and well-being in your skin. Wellness and well-being in your joints. Wellness and well-being in your bones. Wellness and well-being in your muscles. Wellness and well-being in your family. Wellness and well-being in your finances. Wellness and well-being in your emotional state. Wellness and well-being. We come in alignment with the truth of who and what we are. We are well. We are perfect, whole, and complete. For that is the truth of our being. That is the truth of God in us. That is the truth of God with us. That is the truth of God above us, below us, at our left and our right, all around us. These are the waters that we are swimming in today. Waters of healing and well-being. And as we accept and allow the words that have been spoken, as we accept and allow this reality to be our reality, miracles and answered prayers are inevitable. I am so grateful and thankful for the healing that has taken place as a result of this moment. I know and I see healed minds. I know and I see bodies set free. I know and I see lives transformed forever, forever, and forevermore. So it is with absolute confidence and joyful expectation that I release this prayer. I release it back into the law, which is always in operation. It is done. Yes. It is done. It is done. Thank you, God in us. Thank you, God in us, for happiness, success, radiant health, prosperity, and money. For this truth, we are so very grateful. We say amen.
Amen.
Ashe.
Ashe.
And so it is.
And so it is.
And so
yes,
it is.
Yes.
And so it must be.
Yes, yes,
So it must be. Whew. Lord have mercy.
I felt that. Did you feel that?
Again, prayer is answered here at CSC. Well, let's take a breath, y'all. Let's breathe in and breathe out. Oh, yes, yes.
Grab your books.
Yes. We're in Masterclass mode this summer. For those that are joining us for the very first time, we are studying It's Up to You by Ernest Holmes, and it is exciting. We're going to tap into chapter 4 today, but we actually have a large number of questions from chapter 3. So we're going to go through each question as we promised, because we want to incorporate them into the class. And we trust that we'll be able to get to some of the reading. If not, then we'll give you instructions at that time, because I think there's some powerful things that will come forward as a result of moving through this question. So thank you for all who sent in questions this week. If you have questions, you want to send those to Truth Sunday at Celebration. There it is on the screen, Truth Sunday at celebrationsc.org, and we will incorporate those questions in the following week's class. So without too much hesitation, let's tap into these questions. This first question is wonderful. On page 31, the last paragraph, Holmes writes, "When we perfectly understand the law and work with it, going on the good that we wish." After reading this sentence, it is evident that I'm not aware of what laws I need to understand perfectly. What is meant by perfect? Holmes uses the word law for God a lot in these 3 chapters. One can't help but see God, ourselves, as only principle or law. It brings to mind the feeling of Deuteronomy 6 with all the laws that the Israelites had to remember and physically keep with them. I replaced the law back to God and reread simply as when we perfectly understand God and work with God, the good that we wish. But perfectly is still a hang-up for me. So this is a wonderful question.
It is.
It's a wonderful question, and particularly for anyone that is coming to New Thought, that's studying New Thought, metaphysical principles, and this your background may be more traditional Christianity or some other spiritual tradition. This is something that needs to be understood. I'm glad that you asked the question. Because it will illuminate so much. As you said, Holmes uses the word law over and over again in the text. So the first thing is to just to clarify something, because there was that part of the question. It is not evident I'm aware of what laws I need to understand.
I'm not aware.
I mean, yeah, it is evident that I'm not aware of what laws I need to understand. So there's one law, right? And so that's why what we read over and over again is the law, the law, the law. He sometimes uses different words, the creative law of being, divine law, but we're talking about one law. And now there's a definition that I love, and we'll share this in the email that goes out on Mondays with kind of follow-up that happens every Monday. We'll share the link. There's a book. We did a sermon series in the beginning of 2020, January, February, and March, based on the book Working with the Law by Raymond Hollowell. And I anchored that sermon in the beginning by, first we have to understand what is the law. And Hollowell, in that text, he writes, "We have heard God spoken of as love, divine mind, divine intelligence, Jehovah, God, Lord, first cause, primal substance, and other names. The terms above are all synonymous. They mean one and the same thing, and I choose to use a simpler name that everyone will understand. I shall call God working in our lives law." So it was great that you took the time to replace where you saw law, to replace God. But in this case, I think it's very important that you don't replace it, because by continuing to read the word law, you're going to transform your God concept, which is what's necessary. He goes on. Again, "I shall call God working in our lives law. Interpreting the law in several ways should bring it more clearly into our way of thinking. Then as we strive to work with the law, we are living closer to God, and such living brings a better understanding." So the law is God working in our lives, the actual activity of God. And this is important because the only way that we can understand the all that is, this thing that we're choosing, the word we're using is God, is through its action and activity. Right? That's it's like love is sort of can be an abstract concept or word, right? You can't see, taste, touch, or smell love, but we understand love based on action and activity, right? And we can begin to parse out what absolute love is. So God working in our lives, that's law. Now, what's interesting, when you use the word laws plural, we, of course, study universal laws like the law of attraction, right, and principles, right, like the law of receiving, the law of compensation, right, the law of circulation, right. And so what these are ways of understanding the one law. Now, that may seem confusing, but let's think about it on the human level, right? So I am one person. I'm Greg Stamper. I'm a father, I'm an uncle, I'm a son, I'm a brother, I'm a cousin, right? So already this one person, me, has become five things. And you can actually learn different things about me, right, based on watching Greg the father compared to Greg the brother. Right? And those are still going to be me, but you're going to understand something new about me. As a result of that, you're going to understand more about who and what I am. And so sometimes folks can get confused because there are all of these metaphysical laws that people write and talk about. And depending on which teachers you're looking at, some will say there are only 3 laws you need to think about. Some say 12, some say 13, some say 7.
Yes.
But the truth is there's one law. But its action and activity expresses in so many different ways. If we go back to the sermon series that we completed in April and May, right, the 7 main aspects of God, it could also be called the 7 main aspects of the law, right? And so those 7 main aspects support us in understanding the law. And as Emmett Fox writes there, and I talked about in the sermon series, that then any other expression is really a combination of those 7, right? Which feels like something new, but it's really a combination of truth and intelligence, or love and consciousness, or love and substance, right? So wonderful, wonderful question. The other thing that I do want to highlight here is when you say it brings to mind the feeling of Deuteronomy 6 with all the laws that the Israelites had to remember and physically keep with them. This is not that. Right? So when we talk about the operation of the law, in metaphysical terms, we are not talking about the law or the Torah, right? We're not talking about a set of instructions. We're not talking about, interestingly enough, when you start to think about, it's important to actually take sort of the spiritual thinking out of a lot of the texts of Leviticus and Deuteronomy, because it would be like spiritualizing the laws of this nation, right? That these were a specific set of true laws and ways of being to govern this particular nation, right? And so what we're talking about here, when we understand God as principle, when we understand God as law, we're not talking about laws that need to be followed, because the thing is, as God is principle, you can follow the law or not, right? It's always in operation, knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or unconsciously. Right?
And there's one more piece at the end when you're talking about having a hard time hanging the word perfectly. It's a hang up. It relates back to what PG just said, because unconsciously we believe that laws, if you don't follow them, you will be punished.
Right.
And so perfectly can denote, if I don't do it correctly or use it correctly, I will be punished.
Right.
As I said in the meditation experience earlier, your sinlessness is guaranteed by God, the law.
Right.
Right? And so I could see how the word perfectly would cause you some concern, because if you're new to these teachings and you don't know how they operate, how could you be held accountable to make them perfectly? Right? To do them perfectly or use them perfectly. So it's important to separate government and policy and legality from the way we're talking about God as law. Right? It's not the 10 Commandments and you're going to be doomed if you don't do it perfectly.
And really what he's saying perfectly, and this word perfect is used often in New Thought. We say, there's one life, that life is perfect, that life is my life now. That word perfect literally just means complete, right? So if you drew a half circle, it would be an imperfect circle because it's not complete, right? Once you connect the ends, it is a perfect circle because it's connected. And so when he says, when we perfectly understand God and work with God, that's saying once we have a complete understanding, that removes all of the traditional theology, that removes any idea that God is judging us, that God is blaming us, that God is testing us, that removes any idea that God has favorites, right? That somehow
it removes all those human things that we've attributed to God that have nothing to do with God as law, God as love, right?
Yeah, and so that's what's meant by perfect.
And I would be hung up on it too if that was still operating in my consciousness a little bit. And I see how it can be, especially if you're coming from traditional Christianity.
And that perfection is ever evolving.
Yes.
Right? So the highest knowing of whomever you may look at and think like, wow, they really know the truth, or they're really tapped in. There's no ceiling on that, right? They're still expanding their experience. Well, it's just true, right? They're because God is infinite, right? You can never wrap your arms around something that's infinite. You can only know more of it,
more and more,
right? And experience more of it. So that perfection is an evolution as well, which is why it's not about dotting every I and crossing every T, right? Because if that was the case, none of us would ever experience any good in our lives.
Yeah, because it's always operating. We just don't know it's operating. And so it's important to know it's operating and to become more conscious of how it's operating for you.
Yeah. Wonderful question.
Great question.
Wonderful question. Thank you so much. So we'll move on. We have a few more. From page 24, one of the greatest stumbling blocks in any person's spiritual advancement is dishonesty. This comes in part from our human tendency to take the line of least resistance, whether it be in our physical endeavors or in the operation of mind. Right? That's from Holmes. The question, what is Holmes saying here about the nature of humanity? Are our stumbling blocks to spiritual advancement our humanness? Could not lack of understanding and awareness also contribute to our stumbling blocks to spiritual understanding and advancement? This is a wonderful question. And I'll say this now because it relates to future questions that we're going to tap into, that we kind of could sense something underneath the questions, which goes back to this perfectly conversation, right? This fear of not getting it right? And we can heal that. I trust that we'll heal that today. Because what is Holmes saying here about the nature of humanity? He's not saying anything about the nature of humanity. So let's just go back to the quote for a second. One of the greatest stumbling blocks in any person's spiritual advancement is dishonesty. This comes in part from a human tendency to take the line of least resistance. So he's talking about a human tendency, not human nature. And why is that important? Because the human tendencies that cause us to take the line of least resistance, and here in this passage he's talking about, and so we're not oftentimes not willing to accept a new idea, right? We fight against it, no matter what, because something is just familiar, right? It still may not be beneficial, but it's familiar. There's a tendency to do that because humans have been programmed to do that. Humans have, from birth, we have watched our families do that. Family members, our when I say environment, I'm talking about here again where we were raised. Folks, operated in a certain way, and we sort of just said, "Oh, this is how it is." Mm-hmm. That's not human nature, right? That's actually learned behavior. This tendency. Because if it was human nature, we wouldn't be able to change it, right? We wouldn't be able to respond differently. And so it would sort of debunk everything that we're talking about and reading about, the idea that it's up to us, that we can actually make a choice and make a change.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this statement is not about the nature of humanity, but it is a statement about the ways in which we have all unconsciously accepted ways of being that may actually be to our detriment or just not beneficial, mm-hmm. right? So are our stumbling blocks to spiritual advancement our humanness? No. Right? Our stumbling blocks to spiritual advancement is whatever has been whatever is in our consciousness.
Right. Our tendencies mm-hmm. can be a stumbling block.
Right.
But it's not a fall.
Right.
It's not, I never get out of the cavern
right.
of whatever this tendency is or belief system is. Mm-hmm. It's just, I become aware
right.
of my stumbling blocks.
Right. Because in truth, our being human, remember, we're spiritual beings having a human experience, right? Once we come into the true awareness that we are spiritual beings, our humanity becomes the vehicle by which we then experience spiritual advancement, to use those words, right? Spiritual advancement, right, can only be experienced in the human form, right? So if the humanness was the stumbling block, then you could never experience spiritual advancement as a human.
Right. And the word stumbling block
right.
carries a lot of weight and meaning
mm-hmm.
for the person that used that term, stumbling block,
right.
as opposed to blind spot.
Yeah, which we're going to talk about blind spots. Yeah.
Right? And so check in with yourself to see mm-hmm. what's happened, what your beliefs are about stumbling blocks, how much weight have you given the experiences in your life where you have stumbled, right? And make sure that you're not making this more powerful and not beneficial to mm-hmm. your advancement mm-hmm. in the human form.
Right.
Now, as a spiritual being, in fact, you're already advanced.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right? As a human,
right.
there are tendencies, traits, personalities. There's a whole lot of things in play. Mm-hmm. But because the law is kind,
right.
is loving,
mm-hmm.
it would never use that or judge because of the human experience.
Right. Right. And it's also interesting, right, the idea of stumbling blocks. There's what I see also in there is traditional Christian Western theology, right, mm-hmm. which teaches, and this is unfortunately a Western mindset, right, this inherent that humanity is inherently bad. And it reminds me, Joseph Campbell writes about this so beautifully. It's only in the West that this exists. And it's interesting, like Eastern teachers, like I read your Bible and I didn't find any love in it, right?
Right.
Because it's like they read these stories and it's rooted in this idea that there's something inherently wrong with humanity. But God itself created humanity. In the beginning of the text, it says, let us make mankind in our likeness and image. But then, somehow there's something wrong with humankind. And so, again, just being born in the Western world, right? It doesn't have to do with being Christian. That is a mindset that has been ingrained in us in ways that we're not even fully aware of
how
right?
deep,
yeah,
and how it has impacted how we see the world.
Exactly.
I mean, and you see it when you see Christianity taken to other countries, other cultures, and what it does to those beautiful souls who were living connected to God already.
Right.
Unlike us,
right?
And they become fearful or afraid, and they take on these ideas,
right?
And they lose sight of who they really are. And what we're trying to do is help you to remember who you really are.
Right. And so then that last question, could not lack of understanding and awareness also contribute? Well, that's it, right? That's just in a nutshell is ignorance, which is to be unaware, right? To not know.
It doesn't mean unintelligent.
Right.
It just means unaware.
Mm-hmm. Right. And that really is that really is the thing standing in the way, right? That really is the thing. And so here, a place like Celebration Spiritual Center, one of the 5 things that anchors us, celebrate the mission, Celebration Spiritual Center, awaken the world to the presence and power of God within and all around us, right? That's why we're here. That's why CSC is here, right? We recognize that most people are operating from one level of understanding, consciously and unconsciously, and are unaware of the presence and power of God that is operating in, through, and as them, right? And then equip humanity to live their greatest lives. What that equipping is a reminding, right? That's all we're doing, week in and week out, in truth, is reminding, pointing you back to the power and presence that is within you, right? And supporting you in unearthing or bringing to your present awareness those habits, those ways of being, those ways of thinking that are unlike the truth of who and what you are, and releasing them, forgiving yourself and setting yourself free, transmuting that energy into a higher frequency that ultimately is the frequency of love, and experiencing the benefits of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, next question. From page 27, obviously God could not create humanity with the gift of free choice without making humanity able to think, and humanity cannot think without bringing upon themselves the results of their thinking. Universal mind has no choice but to create through law the thought given to it. If it could contradict that thought, it would be recognizing something outside of itself and would not be a unity. Does having free will always expose humanity to making choices and adapting thinking that is not beneficial? We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Why do we seem not to be wired to express our divinity more readily? And so this question is related to the previous question, right? And again, these questions I hear underneath this, some assumptions that go back to, again, this idea and thinking, all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. And, again, something's wrong with our nature. And that's not true at all. So does having free will always expose humanity? And again, the word choices here, to making choices and adapting thinking that is not beneficial. Having free will empowers humanity. Having free will empowers us to choose. Now, as we're studying this book, it's up to you. We're being presented with information, and then we have the opportunity to choose, accept or reject what we're in alignment with, right? We have the opportunity to hear what Ernest Holmes is saying and hear what PY and I are teaching and expounding upon, and it's like, I'm going to change my thinking around this. Oh, I have more capability than I thought or that I ever knew, right? There's more things that are possible for me than I knew. And I have free will. I can choose. I can choose again. I can choose anew. right? And the point of power is in the present moment. So whatever you choose now, that then creates the next now, and the next now, and the next now, and the next now. Having free will is one of our greatest powers.
And it's a gift, a loving gift, right? I mean, how many of us have been in positions with caregivers or whatever, and they're making choices for us, and we feel like we have no ability to make our own choices. That's not how God operates.
Right. And so again, there's an assumption in the second half of the question. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. Why do we seem not to be wired to express our divinity more readily? Well, seem, you would have to have a wide awareness of all of humanity to know that. Actually, the truth is, humanity is wired to express divinity. See, and this is what we don't realize. Whether we're using free will to our benefit or to our detriment, we are expressing our divinity. We are being gods on the earth because we are creating. What we're doing here in New Thought, what we're learning and what we're practicing and experimenting and learning is how to do that deliberately, how to do that in a way that's beneficial. You know, you can watch a child and you can give them clay or Play-Doh and they're gonna, make little things or whatever. And it might be cute, it might not. You can give a child some crayons and, they draw these little abstract pictures. And that same child could years later become the next Basquiat. Right. And so we don't judge. It's like, well, why aren't children wired to
all be artists
to express perfection in art? But they are. That child was wired to do that. That child was wired and was already expressing that an ability to draw and create out of its own mind using these utensils. And as they continue to develop themselves and continue to learn and study, etc., they have now become a master. Right?
I have friends expressing more of that art.
Yeah.
Right.
So don't get hung up on even in the small ways that you may be manifesting or demonstrating, or even when you make mistakes, or it's again not perfect. It's not Louvre worthy today, right? Because literally every great artist started as a child just drawing with pencil or crayons, right? And again, we don't judge that child and say, well, why aren't they able, humans can create great art. Why can't they create a great sculpture with Play-Doh? That's where they started. But they were already expressing their artistic ability and creativity, right? We are wired to express our divinity, and we're doing it all the time.
We're doing it all the time, and the more we learn, the more we express. Or the more open we are to hearing and allowing the expression, the greater it becomes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with having free will. It's not a trick to be used against you. Like, oh, if I don't choose this, then this is going to happen.
Right.
You're constantly choosing.
Right.
Now, if there's something you like that you've chosen, there's something you've created that you like and enjoy and love, keep doing that. Right?
Right. It's coming to me again. Again, one of the things about free will, why do people inherently think that there's something wrong with free will? Because of the Adam and Eve story.
Yes.
Right? The idea is that if Eve didn't have the free will to choose, then everything would be right. Please go back to the Finding Eden series from last year, right? Where I went through that whole story and debunked so much of the traditional theology around that story. But that is not it is a spiritual allegory, and it's beneficial in many ways, but that's not a story that exemplifies free will being bad. Like, no, actually, that it is a story that really points to free will being our point of power.
Yeah.
Right? Free will, the ability to choose, is not the problem. Right?
And, again, our freedom of choice feels like it's been affected or taken from us in many ways. It's free will. It's like the greatest gift that you could be given to choose and choose and choose again.
Right.
Now, what happens in New Thought is we get these ideas about manifesting, and I'm going to choose this, but you don't choose it consistently.
Right.
Right? you choose it one day, and then maybe your old human tendency takes over, and you believe you can't have. And so you go backwards in your thinking, and you choose something else. But the point of power is in that moment. If you recognize that you've made an incorrect choice for you, choose again.
Yep. Yep. All right. Next question. How can we remove blind spots, which I talked about last week, more systematically so as to have clarity on which of our fixed ideas are actually erroneous thoughts or negative beliefs? So again, what we're hearing, and this is a different question from a different person, what we're hearing is underneath this is like this fear, right, of getting it wrong, right? And, oh no, I have blind spots, and what am I going to do? And
how can I systematically check the boxes and get rid of them?
Right. So this is a wonderful question for a lot of reasons, and PY and I had a good time kind of talking through our ideas around this, right? So one of the first thoughts that came to me, and I'm sure that probably everyone watching and listening knows this song. Erykah Badu's very first single, way back in the 90s, On and On, right? She sang a line in that song that has stuck with me from the first time I heard it. The man that knows something knows that he knows nothing at all, which is a wisdom statement. I'll say that again. Maybe you didn't even know that was the lyrics she was singing. The man that knows something, or the person that knows something, knows that they know nothing at all. So first, systematically, how can you remove blind spots? And this is why I said last week that one of my daily prayers is show me my blind spots. Because I recognize that no matter what I attain, no matter what my external life looks like, no matter how many millions of dollars I manifest, no matter where I live, no matter how I travel, no matter the lavishness of my life, right, I will constantly, in this human form, be removing or need to examine thoughts that I hold, right? And that's even, we can have so much good, and we can make that a fixed idea, like, oh, this is the best there could ever be. And it's like, no, there's no ceiling on good. There's more, there's more, there's more. So first, just having that awareness, right? And then deliberately choosing to live from that place of awareness, that I recognize that inevitably I'm going to have blind spots, right? It's like driving in a car. We were just on the highway yesterday, right? Driving to and from Maryland for my dad's birthday. You're going to have blind spots, which is why you're taught how to deal with blind spots, right? So there's that, right? Then in terms of systematically, and this is the spiritual idea and the spiritual truth, and every spiritual teacher will say this across many different traditions, right? Systematically is why we at CSC teach that daily spiritual practice is not an option, and why we teach that daily spiritual practice must be a 5-5-5. It must include, right, reading something that is inspirational. It must require or include affirmative journaling, and it must include meditation, which is actually, meditation in this case is the most powerful as it relates to blind spots, because what meditation is supporting us in doing is not giving all power to the external world. In meditation, we close our eyes to the external and we go to the infinitely expansive eternal. And that's one of the ways that we start to remove blind spots, because then as we come out of meditation, we're bringing that awareness into the world so that then we can question or not immediately accept. It's like, okay, I know what my eyes are showing me. I know what my ears are showing me. I know what my nose is showing me, but I know the limits of these senses. Right? I know that actually the five sense world is an effect world. So then I can stop, take a breath, and assess what's really going on before responding or before reacting. And that's, from a spiritual perspective, that is one of the most important things that a daily, consistent, rain or shine meditation practice does for us.
Absolutely. And here's the other thing about systematic removal of blind spots. It's not like that. It's not, if I remove every blind spot, then my life will be perfect.
Right.
It is actually, each time you become aware of a blind spot, an opportunity to practice self-love, compassion, and self-forgiveness. Those things systematically help you become more in tune with what you really are.
Right.
And so a blind spot, again, is not a negative. It's just a thing.
Right.
Right? We don't think that we will continue to have perfect vision as we're driving. We understand that we have to always check.
Right.
And so when you become aware of erroneous thoughts or negative beliefs, you practice, you bring the light of love to it, compassion and forgiveness. You don't have to do an all-out crazy forgiveness practice. It could just be enough, I forgive myself and I set myself free.
Right.
You know why that is? Forgiveness is not for God, it is for us.
Right.
Because we have a tendency to have these thoughts and these negative beliefs.
Right.
And so this is just a better way of helping you recognize blind spots and release the blind spot, eliminate the blind spot, remove it for yourself.
Yeah. And it takes me back to the previous questions, this idea of stumbling blocks, this idea of humanness being a problem. Blind spots are a part of life, a part of living, right? The thing is we have a limited vantage point, right? I can only pay attention to what I'm paying attention to right now. There's a whole lot going on. I used to say this sometimes when we were holding service in a different location, because there was like a McDonald's down around the corner. And I'm like, there's people at the McDonald's around the corner right now, and they're like, eating Egg McMuffins. That's happening, but that's not in my awareness. My awareness is this service at CSC right now. So I think the other piece to remember, because the idea of remove blind spots, like, if I can remove these bad things from my life,
then my life will be always good.
Exactly.
Right.
Blind spot is not a bad thing in that sense. That's why also the analogy of understanding that you're always going to have blind spots when you drive, but you have mirrors and you've been taught to turn your head and how to look. And now we have cameras that in our cars that that support us in seeing. So that's then where your daily spiritual practices, that's where having a tool like forgiveness and so many of your other tools are important. Those are the systematic tools that we use. Those are the mirrors on your car.
Right, and I love the word tools, because you can use whatever tool you choose, back to free will. I'm not saying that you got to do, well, we're saying consistent in your 555.
Yes.
But the other tools, once you recognize the blind spot, it's completely up to you. You use what feels good.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't feel good to recognize that you've made an error and then beat yourself up about it.
Right.
What feels good is to release the error and to realize that mistakes are for correction. Just like you're correcting when you look to see where the spot is.
Right.
Any mistakes or any thoughts, it's just for correction, not
Right.
punishment. And we can't say this enough.
Right.
Sometimes we're like, are we saying this too many times? But we can't say it enough because of the level of indoctrination that we've all come into the planet and live in. The level of sinfulness that we swim around in.
Right.
We've got to talk the other way
Right.
about your sinlessness. That was created by God. Right?
Yep.
Great questions.
Yeah. And so this is related to the previous question. If we are like a fish in water with no concept of something outside of our water, yet we are able to notice some level of pattern related to the unwanted things that keep showing up in our lives, how can we know which fixed ideas need to be shifted? So there is an assumption in the question, and so it's important to first clear up the assumption, because it is a wonderful metaphor, and PY just said the sinlessness that we swim in, which you see, it's already interesting. If we are like fish in water with no concept of something outside of water, so first of all, what is the water that we're actually swimming in, right? And in truth, to use this metaphor in a spiritual way, right, we are like fish in water with no concept of something outside of the water until we become aware. So when we're living in unawareness, when we're unconscious the power that we have. When we think that we're sinless, when we think that we're unworthy, when we
Sinful.
sinful, sorry, when we think that we're unworthy, when we think and have accepted that something is wrong with us, that there's this sin idea and there's a heaven and hell that some people are going to be put in, and that God is testing and judging. Like when we have all those ideas, it is like the fish in water with no concept of something outside, right? As soon as you become aware and now start to accept the truth of who and what you are, you're no longer like that fish in water with no concept, right? And so this is what it's ironic too, as I said, the series Stay Woke, the path of self-realization. Is very much applicable here, because this is what we're talking about. Once you're on the path of self-realization, you're no longer like that. And so what you're learning how to you're recognizing patterns that are unwanted. You're now seeing, the mirror of your life, and recognizing and accepting that there are beliefs in our minds and habits that we've adopted consciously and unconsciously that are creating and co-creating the experiences that we have, because we understand that we're working with a law, that no matter what you give to the law, it will always give back to us that which we have given it, knowingly or unknowingly. In the same way that the law of gravity, I can have a brick and I can drop it. If it falls on my foot, it's going to give me the experience of the brick falling, even though my foot, the brick falling on my foot is not something that I would want, right? That's how the law works. So how can we know which fixed ideas need to be shifted? Well, it's through the awakening to the reality that you're more than just a fish in water. Right?
It's also very simple.
Mm-hmm.
How can you know which fixed ideas need to be shifted?
Yeah.
How do they feel?
Yeah.
How does it feel when you think a thought of unworthiness?
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel when you think thoughts of lack?
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel when you think I'm unlovable?
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel when you think I'm separate from God?
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel when you think I'll never ever be or have enough?
Mm-hmm.
How does it feel
Mm-hmm.
to you?
Yeah.
See, a lot of these questions are very heady, and I love heady questions, like the next person.
Yeah.
But how does you're never going to make the connection between or drop it down into the heart center until you know how it feels.
Yeah.
If an idea is fixed, or an idea that you like and you feel good about it, there's nothing to change.
Yep. Yep.
If an idea causes you strain, struggle, fear, doubt, worry, insecurity, trauma, then it needs to be changed.
Yep.
Now, here's the beauty of the way love works. All of those ideas are not going to flood you at one time.
Nope.
They're going to be as you come upon your blind spots. And then you choose to fix it or choose to release it. I don't like the word fix.
Yeah.
Because nothing is fixed.
Right.
That makes it an easier process. Don't make this hard.
Right.
This is not something you're going to get a grade on. This is something that this information helps you live your life more fully.
Right.
Helps you live your life more complete, in more joy, peace, and ease. If it doesn't feel good for you,
Right.
it ain't right for you.
Right. The other thing I'm hearing in this question, because this takes us back to some of the previous questions, and I think there's this wonderful through line here, right? If we are like fish in water, ... The other thing that if is saying, it's like, if we are limited, then how can we
Swim
know
in
which
another-
fixed ideas
To let go of. Yeah.
But you're a spiritual being having a human experience. So while we identify and celebrate our human expression, the truth is you are not limited, right? So the other thing, it's like it's that idea of shifting your starting point. Wait, God in through and as me is infinite and unlimited, right? I, as a spiritual being, am one with God, and so I am unlimited. And because I am connected to wisdom, because I am connected to answers, because I am connected to clarity, because I am connected to the light of illumination, I know which fixed ideas need to be shifted, right? God in me, through me, show me now.
And this is also why I don't like the use of the word fixed. Because nothing is fixed. It's an idea. It's a thought that you kept thinking that you now have a belief around.
That appears to be fixed.
That appears to be fixed. right? Because you've been consistently thinking it. Even though the point of power is in this moment, you keep using your present moment to think about yourself as you did in the past. So it's not fixed as in hard and sedentary, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Great question.
Next question. Page 27. Such a man will then know that they cannot fail in what they really want to do. How can we free ourselves to be able to know what we really want to do in such a way that we cannot fail? How does this connect with what we previously discussed around failure? Again, there's a through line, right? It's like fear and like, well, how can we know? And we're limited and I don't want to get it wrong, right? In these questions. And so I love that we're getting to heal this, right? So such a person will then know that they cannot fail in what they really want to do. So it's actually important. I should have pulled up the text, the context of what Holmes is talking about. Holmes is talking about this idea that when you come into that perfect, complete understanding of the truth of who and what God is, and recognizing that you are one with it and it is operating in, through, and as you, then you will know that you cannot fail in what you really want to do, whatever that is, right? So how can you free yourself to know what you really want to do, right, in such a way that you cannot fail? So I think there's a misreading here of what's being talked about, right? That actually, and this is why I always say everything comes back to our God concept, where I always come back to check your God concept, that the most powerful, illuminating, transformative thing one can ever do is to change, transform, and heal their concept of God. Because the moment that you truly understand God as law, God as the 7 aspects that we talked about in April and May, you truly embrace that, because again, this is what's teaching and showing us the truth of ourselves beyond our human expression, right? The truth of ourselves that will be the truth of us, that was the truth of us before we incarnated, is the truth of us now incarnated as human, and will be the truth of us when we let go of this human form. That's the only way you're going to know. It's I'll use a superhero analogy, right? It's like when Superman comes to the awareness of who and what he is, and he was finally taken to, he found that green crystal, and he's able to build this replica of his home, and he understands where he comes from, and he understands his sense of purpose and his duty to I'm using this language, but to like be a beneficial presence on the planet because of this power that he possesses, right? Then at that point, once he came into a full knowingness of who he was, as he was feeling different and he's being raised by these humans, and why am I not the same, and all of these things. But once he understand who he really was, and understood that he is the son of Jor-El, by the way, that's very interesting, the way that the DC Comics used that, El being at the end of the names of all of the beings that were born in Krypton, which El is divinity, is God, right? So when he came into that awareness fully, then he was clear about his mission, and then he was no longer thinking about, oh, can I stop this train? Oh, can I save this person? Oh, can I do this? Oh, can I do that? He just operated as it, right? Doing whatever he really wanted to do. So how can you free yourself? By coming into the absolute knowing of the truth of who and what you are, because then you just know you can do it. It's I'll use a car analogy again, right? There's a time when, you don't know how to drive a car. You don't have a license. You have never taken a class, etc. But once you're driving and you're taking your test, you got your license and you're driving, you just do what you want to do. You decide you want to drive cross country, you do it. You decide you want to drive to the store, you do it. You decide you want to drive to the gym, you do it. And you know that you cannot fail because you have the knowledge of who and what you are as a driver.
Right.
Right.
Great question.
Right. So then how does this connect with what we previously discussed around failure, right? So that question, the previous question around failure was this idea of, do we ever really fail? Yes, right. Just like, and failure in the sense of making a mistake. You are not a failure, but we all experience failure, right? We make mistakes. We attempt to do something. I use the idea of a cake. My sister's a wonderful baker. She made these delicious cupcakes. I could attempt today to make the cupcakes. And the first attempt would probably be a failure, particularly if I just tried to go from memory. But maybe even if she gave me the recipe, it still might not taste as good as what she created. She's a seasoned baker, right? So it would be a failure. Right, but I would, yes,
you
I
wouldn't
would
condemn yourself
No.
because you
Right.
made a mistake or
Right.
you hadn't learned yet how to bake.
Right, right. So, so when he says, would then know that they cannot fail in what they really want to do, yes, because we minimize failure, right? As we minimize future failure as we learn, right, from our past mistakes, and as we willingly make whatever changes are necessary. See, some people, and Holmes talked about this in the chapter, right? Some people want to continue trying to make it the way they want to make it and still have outcomes that they don't want.
And then they're like, well, why did I have that outcome? It's the same outcome if you're doing the same thing and you haven't learned from it. Yeah.
Right, right. So that's how that connects to the idea of failure and the idea of why you cannot fail, right? And what you really want to do. And the really want to do is a thing that happens over time that's being shaped. For those of you that in January, we wrote out our list for my biggest dream. And one of the things that we talked about is that list is going to be shaped and it's going to change. And as you're reading it more, there's a clarity that's going to come, right? And so that's what should happen, right? And so that's then you get to this space and place of inevitability because of that. And that inevitability would be not failing, right? It would be in having the outcome that you desire.
Choose. Yeah,
right.
that you desire.
Right. All right, page 29. Every time we say that our environment is against us, we are cursing it and cursing ourselves and our relationship to it. Let us erase any thought of hate. This is Holmes's word. How does this work when pointing out systemic injustices like systemic racism, or when we point out something common that happens in a city as saying, well, that's just Chicago? What is another way to express frustration with an environment without cursing it? Ooh, I love this question. And I love it because what we get to do is raise up your consciousness as metaphysicians. See, here's what's interesting. So Holmes says, every time when we say our environment is against us, we are cursing it and cursing ourselves in relationship to it. So there's the environment and there's environment, right? And so what we have to understand as metaphysicians, there's nothing wrong with our environment in the widest understanding of it, not the physical environment, okay? And this is important. Beyond the physical environment is the environment, is the life of God, right? And it is never against us, right? Life is never against us. Life is supportive and supporting. And what we don't understand, and what many don't understand, because technically we're all metaphysicians, right? So when I say as metaphysicians, I'm talking about everybody, is that cursing our external environment and talking about what is wrong externally, you're actually talking about life itself, right? So the thing is, when we think about systemic injustices and systemic racism, the environment that's creating injustice and racism is
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Is an environment that was created by humans living in separation, lack, and limitation. And that is not God's environment. That is not the environment, right? The environment is an environment of love, which is unity, harmony, peace, and joy, and justice. And so what's important then, one of the reasons why we even see something wrong in that sense in the outside is because we know this is unlike the environment. This is unlike life itself in truth. And our goal and desire is continue to bring out more and express more of what life truly is. So as metaphysicians, what we must see, we see the external and we know what is the truth, right? What is the true environment? There is no environment. There's nothing that's against us. I would never curse that. But what I know is that the external environment, I can shift and change at any moment, right? And so then when we look at something, right, so this is one of those things, well, that's just Chicago. So this goes back to that very first question about human tendency, right? That's not human nature. Human tendency has adopted these qualities and thoughts around what it means to be a Chicagoan, what it means to be a New Yorker, what it means to be from DC. And that doesn't necessarily need to be true for you individually or for a collective community.
Right, and expressing frustration with an environment without cursing it. Well, that's kind of an oxymoron. The moment you express frustration with an external environment, you are in the energy of that environment and therefore cursing it. I mean, you're keeping that energy going, right? It's not to say that you're Pollyanna, you don't see things that are in your environment, in your city, in your state, in your country, in your world. We talk about those things all the time.
Right.
But we talk about them from the highest perspective, and you don't curse from the highest perspective because, as PG just said, that's the perspective of love. That's the ultimate environment.
Right.
So there is a way to make change, but it's not in the energy of that environment.
Right.
It's from the environment of all that is. And so you're just recognizing things that you want to be different and allowing the truth of God to point you in the direction of changing those things.
Right. Because cursing it, right, this is something we come back to often. And as human beings, I've done it as well, right? And have to remind myself, right, when we're in an unwanted situation, we have learned to connect around complaining, right? We have learned that when we're at work and we don't like what's going on at work, or we don't like what some of the people are doing at work, or what some of the senior leadership is doing at work, to gather together and talk about it and talk about them. That is a misuse of our superpowers, right? Because what you focus on, what happens, y'all? Y'all know it. What you focus on expands. It grows, right? Because what we're focusing on, the power and presence of God is operating in, through, and as us. And what we're putting our attention on, it's saying, oh, they want more of that. 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 And so as metaphysicians, we learn, or we come to ourselves, right? Because that, again, I've done that many times, right? Oh, wait, look at me. I'm over here complaining and bringing all this power and attention, all this God power to what I don't want. I need to turn my attention to what I want, right? Because that's all I'm seeing. I'm just seeing what I don't want, which is giving me information to get really clear about what I do want. And then that's what I begin to talk about. That's what I begin to focus on. That's what I begin to think about.
Right, and there's no cursing in that focus. There's actually gratitude that there is a way, that there is a solution, that there's a way out, there's a way through, that it's already, as A Course in Miracles says, the problem has been solved. I just don't know what the answer is yet. So let me turn my attention in the direction of the solution.
Practical example. I remember having an experience. I had someone that reported to me, and he was getting on my nerves, right? Because every time I would come to work, every day, like as soon as I would set foot in the office, he would inundate me with questions and updates. And I'm like, can I just sit down and like eat my breakfast or just turn my computer on? And right. And it got to a point where it was happening so frequently that what was happening for me, I would get off the subway and I'm walking to my office, and my thought was, Lord, I hope he's not here today, or I hope he doesn't start having, right? So what I was doing was focusing on the very thing that I didn't want. It was frustrating me.
Cursing it.
Right, I was cursing it, and I was just getting more of the same. And once I heard myself, I realized what I was doing. I was like, oh, wow. Now, here's the thing. It's not a stumbling block. I wasn't wrong. I didn't commit a sin, right? I remembered, wait, I have the power of choice. What is it that I want? And I began, just in the very next day when I realized it, I began to imagine and think and talk about what I wanted, right? How I wanted for my day to start when I step in the office. He never did that again. And eventually, he left the organization, right? Now, it doesn't mean that I caused him to leave the organization, but what was beautiful was it was a wonderful reminder to me of what I focus on expands, right? And once I shifted my focus on that which was wanted, I experienced a new experience, right? A new expression, right? And so that's why Holmes is saying that every time we say our environment is against us, every time we're cursing it, right? Let us erase those thoughts of hate, right? And put our attention on what we want. Put your attention on love. Put your attention on unity. Put your attention on harmony, whatever that may look like. And this is one of the reasons, if we want to delve into it deeper, and I've done sermons on it, but when we look at systemic injustice, it's important that we put the focus of our attention on the solutions,
Yes.
not the problem.
Yep.
Right? We're solution finders, not problem solvers. And that's part of the reason that collectively humanity has not experienced the love, justice, peace, and harmony that's possible, because collectively humanity has been taught. Right? The human tendency is a taught tendency. It's not human nature to continue to focus on the problem as though that's going to be the solution. Hasn't worked yet.
Right. Absolutely.
Wonderful question. We have, I think, one more. We're going over time, but we'll finish these questions. Page 28 reads, we should think of our spirit as being part of the universal spirit and of our mind as open to the divine influx. As any specific knowledge must come from the center of all knowledge, it follows that whenever and wherever the mind of man is open to the divine influx, it will receive instructions directly from the source of all. And the question, was there ever a time when the divine instruction surprised you in the beginning, or when some of it was clear, but not quite all of it? How did you navigate that? Okay. So wonderful question. One, what Holmes is saying here, and I want to be very clear, it will receive instructions directly from the source of all, that is specific and is clear, right? He uses the word specific. So what he's saying here is that when we're truly understanding and thinking of our spirit as being part of the universal spirit, and our mind as open to it is open to the divine influx, we will receive specific instruction, specific knowledge. And so the question about the idea of being surprised or it not being clear, I would say that at any time something wasn't clear, that's actually a reflection of me not being clear, right? Anytime something wasn't clear, that was a sign of me wanting God to just give me part of it, because I got it mostly figured out, but God, I want you to tell me a little bit, the other part that I'm not really sure about, right?
So the fogginess or the murkiness is really manipulation, because you're not allowing the full influx of the information to come, or you've received it and you don't want to follow it.
And so to that end, again, the idea of being surprised by divine instruction, we talked through this question a bit and I sat with it, but the truth is, I've never been surprised by divine instruction. Sometimes there's things like we talk about with the creation of Celebration Spiritual Center. It was not what either of us were intending to do at that moment. We each had a plan that wasn't Celebration Spiritual Center. But was Celebration Spiritual Center a surprise? No. Right? If we look at the ways and all of the things that supported that beforehand to bring us to that moment, there were clear signs all along, right? All along the way. So it's even important to the extent that you feel surprised, it's important to step back and look and see how there's a clear through line.
Or not.
And if not, if
Don't
there isn't
force
a
it.
clear through line, then I would say keep listening, right? Because that may actually be some of that murkiness that you were just talking about, right? And also that clarity is something that has to be within you, right? People outside of you, external to you, may not have all the information, and it might not be clear to them, right? But the one thing I know about Source, and the one thing that I know in my journey with Source, personally, and working with so many individuals, the nudges and the leaning of Source, it's always clear.
And
It's always kind, right? It's always specific, and it's not wordy, right? It's just like a very clear, easy instruction.
And it's also something, for the most part, that you already have the ability to do. Right? It's not going to send you off on some wild, outside of your skills, talents, passion, love of. Right?
Yeah.
We talked about this when we first met. I was on one path.
Yeah.
We were in a mastermind together. And yet I didn't feel completely set in that. And so I knew that there wasn't clear. And I began to meditate and say, okay, I need more instruction. I need to hear this. And so one day I was in my shower, and two words came through when he said, it's simple instruction, was music therapy. Music therapy, it wasn't something that I automatically knew. So I got out of the shower, dressed, went to my computer and typed in those two words. Up comes NYU. And in that moment, I knew I was going to go there. Why is this also important? What the group of Mastermind didn't know about me, they thought this was a strange thing. You're just shifting directions from what you said you were going to do before. It wasn't. Because my undergraduate degree was in psychology. And so I already had the skill set, the desire. This was just putting me in the city where I would go eventually and get my master's degree. So it wasn't some crazy out of the blue surprise. It made complete sense to me based on my skills, my gifts, my talents, and my life path.
Right.
Were the other choices that I made wrong?
No.
A failure? No. All of that led me to be who I am today. So it wasn't a failure.
Right. Yeah. And so, at one level, and you're right, we were in a mastermind together, at one level, even to you at first, the instruction seemed surprising, but like you step back and it's like, well, no, there's nothing surprising here. Right? It was new, it was different, it was something she hadn't done before, but it was also clear, it was also specific. And so where
and
there
it wasn't wordy, and it didn't have me second guessing, and it was just the moment I typed it in, up came this, and I knew, okay.
Right. And from there, in the process, step by step, was an easy and effortless process, right? She moved through that process so wonderfully. It was beautiful to witness.
Right.
So, divine instruction, it will be specific, it will be clear, and where it's not, that's an opportunity to continue to listen. I love one of the questions that's part of the visioning process, right? What do I already possess, right? So you get this idea, or you capture some nudge around what is God seeking to be, do, express in, through, and as you at this moment, right? But the first step, what do I already possess, right? And in the case of PY, talking about music therapy, I'm already in the city with one of the best, right, with the best music therapy program in the world. What I already possess. And I'm right in alignment. There's time for me to apply. What do I possess? You have to be a musician, right? You have to be able. What is my instrument? I have several instruments that I can play and I can sing, right? What do I already possess, right? I have the money I need for at least the first year or the first semester, right? What do I already possess, right? All of these things, all of these things are very important. Because that removes the fear from it, and you can take the first step. I always say when I do visioning, it would be unloving for you to get a nudge or have a vision for your life and you not have what you need to take the first step. You don't need what you at this moment, you won't need what you need for the 20th step, and that's part of our problem. You're already at step 20 and scared because you don't have what you need for you don't need what you need for step 20 till you're on the 19th step. Not a moment too soon. But if you don't, and this takes me back to that question, but see, if you don't understand who and what you are, that question, this idea about, will know that they cannot fail in what they really want to do. See, once you really know the truth of who and what you are, Right? You're not worried about step 20 when you're at step 2.
Right. And the word know is important.
Yes.
It's not think, it's not guess. There's an integrated internal knowing, like you know your name.
Yes.
That's the kind of knowing we're talking about. We're not talking about that you can memorize and regurgitate these ideas in this book. We're talking about you know your name. You know who and what you are in God.
Yeah.
And that's where you move from.
Yeah. You know, to get churchy for a minute, this is why I love the old hymn, I know who holds tomorrow. I don't worry about the future. I just live from day to day because I understand I live in live in a fountain of divine supply. I am saturated in divine supply. Why would I worry about tomorrow or next week or next month or next year? And of course, our elder brother Jesus taught it so wonderfully in Matthew 6, seek ye first what? The kingdom. This is why, again, I say our daily spiritual practices. The inner, right? The kingdom of God is within you and all around you.
Right.
Seek first that, and then everything will be added. And here's what's so clear in that reading. He talks about the things that we want. He talks about money and clothes and food, right? External things.
Right.
That's how it works, y'all.
Well, this has been powerful today. I can tell by the comments that some things have been healed on Healing Sunday.
How about it? So this was a powerful Q&A. What we're going to do, don't move forward in the reading. We're going to come together. Is that cool? Yeah, right. Don't move forward in the reading. Feel free to come back and watch this Q&A and tap in because there's so much here.
Go back to the chapter and look specifically. Go back and read what was before the questions in terms of context to get a deeper understanding, and then stop the video.
Yeah.
Watch it after you've reread those sections or reread the chapter. Again, it's a deeper way to integrate. This is the way we study. What we're sharing with you.
Yep.
We read and reread the context. We read the paragraphs before we have a question. We don't just assume we have the answer. Oh, that's right. We read in this way. The way we're teaching you is the way we study.
Yeah.
We come back to real life examples for us to apply it and make it real. Oh, he says this. Well, how have I seen that in my own life? Right?
Yeah. And so then we will start with chapter 4 next week, which is really awesome. So, of course, it is time for giving, and you've seen the information on your screen. It's very easy to give to CSC. As you give, you receive. You can go to our website, celebrationsc.org/give, or you can text your dollar amount to 347-744-9500. As I said last week, I'm going to continue to support you in understanding when we think about this posture of receiving, right? As you give, you receive. Giving and receiving are one in truth. And we recognize, we talk so often about give what feels good, and that's true. That's always true. And there's a reason why. I read a quote recently that said, what you fight to get, you fight to keep. The Lord have mercy. And this is why we're telling you give what feels good, right? And understanding the law of circulation, right? That there's an opportunity to walk with ease, right? There's an opportunity to attract with ease and keep with ease. And so in your financial life, right, if you're fighting to get money, then you're definitely going to be fighting to keep it. And here at CSC, because giving is a spiritual practice, here's a safe space where you get to practice and experiment with this idea that I give in love because I love to give. And as I give, I receive. And as I give in joy, I receive in joy. Right? As I give in confidence, I receive in confidence. As I circulate in confidence, I receive in confidence. Right? This is the opportunity. If you've been fighting to get money, and you may have that money,
or aggressively saving,
right?
or aggressively investing, any of those kinds of words, if they're in your language, they're in the language of the world.
Yeah, but it's not the language of truth.
Right.
It's not the language of truth.
If you've been fighting and scraping and hustling and grinding, this is your opportunity to practice a different way.
And that principle applies to all areas of your life. What you fight to get, you have to fight to keep.
That's love. That's success. That's everything. That's a certain body type.
Yep. And so when we understand this principle and we operate from this principle, then we can affirm this with an absolute knowing. All the money that I circulate
All the money that I circulate
returns to me multiplied
returns to me multiplied.
in a never-ending cycle
A never-ending cycle
of increase
and
lavish abundance.
lavish abundance.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, we're so grateful and thankful for each and every one of you. If you don't realize it, it is a joy for us to do this. We're doing what we love in this way, supporting each and every one of you and adding our perspective and illumination to the text and collectively healing as a community, expanding as a community, prospering as a community, right? It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful thing. Share this with someone. Let someone know about this masterclass and the good that's happening here at Celebration Spiritual Center. We look forward to connecting with you on Wednesday for the prayer call. Don't forget that tomorrow's Meditation Monday, and so the meditation will be streaming tomorrow at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, and then we'll be back together again next Sunday for Chapter 4 of It's Up to You, as we continue with the masterclass this summer. We love you, we bless you, and we will see you soon.
Bye for now.
Bye for now.